Language is important. That's one thing I learned from your speech just now, Frank, at the Independent Show. And starting with the customer at the center seemed to be a theme. Why don't you talk to that for a moment? We'll have a conversation.
I think it's an issue of cable companies, internet providers that are too focused on what they provide and not focused on what people need. So I'm simply just saying, switch the script, flip it, so that you're focused on the consumer and the aspects of what you offer that they desperately need. So the key phrase in all of this is you deserve. You deserve broadband that works 24/7, 365. You deserve television entertainment that's always there for you, that you can watch anywhere at any time on any device. You deserve. That communicates a focus on the customer. Yes, you're providing that service, but in the end, you're giving the customer what they want.
How you talk to the customer, it sounds like the generations are a little bit different. A millennial is a little bit different than maybe a senior than a middle-aged person.
Well, it's not a little different, it's radically different. Millennials want information very quickly. They want snappy visuals. They want it needs to move. And you do that to someone who's 65 and they'll turn off the TV or they won't hear you. So the visuals are different, the video's different, the kind of music you put behind it is different. But in the end, millennials want work-life balance and better lifestyle. So what is it about what you provide that will make their day-to-day life better? For the seniors, it's about no hassles and no worries. So how are you going to remove the stress that's applying for these services or paying for these services or making sure that they're whenever you want them? How do you remove that hassle? That's what seniors are looking for.
I guess the challenge then is how do you present the right kind of message to the right person at the right time then?
But it's not a challenge. It's a matter of focusing on their needs and their wants rather than focusing on what you have and how you provide it. I also don't think it's a challenge because the people who are part of this organization, the smaller providers, are much more community-oriented, much more community-based. So they know their customers better, and they care about their customers because they're their neighbors, they're their friends. So I don't think it's a hassle. I don't think it's difficult. I just think that they need to prioritize it a little bit more.
The millennials, you mentioned some interesting things just from an employment standpoint today. A career, is it a job? Why don't we talk to that for a moment?
If you're 18 to 29, you are focused on having a great life. You're not necessarily focused on having a great career. So that's one of the differences. Second is that millennials have a belief that they should be higher up on the employment level, and they want to have it rather than earn it. They're very creative. They're very smart. They're very streetwise, but they're also very impatient, and that's good and bad. They have a better understanding of technology and how technology can make a difference in people's lives, but they forget that their parents and grandparents don't have that same understanding, and they're very impatient when they want to move quickly and their parents or grandparents just can't do it. So it's basically just having a commitment to talk to millennials differently and to expect something different because we are different. I don't think it's whether someone's better or worse. I just think you celebrate what makes us unique.
Well, and one of the things that I found interesting was the attitude in terms of the economic structures that the millennials see versus maybe older people in terms of capitalism versus socialism and how that impacts how they look at leaders, for instance.
Well, that's Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders made such a difference in how these young people think. I used to think that Bill Clinton was the hero among that generation, and then it was Barack Obama. But right now, Bernie Sanders owns them. More than half think socialism is more compassionate or a better economic system than capitalism, which has never happened before. And 2/3 thinks that corporate America is actually harmful to the country. The very people who will employ them, they're hostile to. This has never existed. The young generation in the last 30 years has always been more left of center, but it's never been this far left.
And so one of the tidbits you offered up was, you're a business leader as opposed to a CEO. So that language of how you present things, right?
It also is an issue of corporate social responsibility, which requires you to first and foremost treat your employees with respect. If you demonstrate that level of respect, then other people outside your business will respect you. And that's what millennials want. It's not writing a check. It's not even contributing a few hours. If you make a difference in your own company, that in itself is worthy of appreciation and respect.
Well, and you mentioned that working within the community, these operators have the advantage whether they're working with schools, military, so forth.
And the more that they do that, the more that they'll be appreciated. So, for example, I suggested to them that on July 4th or Memorial Day, that they find some way to use their technology to connect our service people in the Middle East, let's say, with their children. Because not only will they appreciate it, but the community will appreciate that effort.
That spans generations. So, Frank, I really appreciate your time.
You got
Thank you.
Thanks.